but Jesse being the primary songwriter, I also know his music taste. So when like the cover like list of selection came up, I definitely pushed for the songs that I knew I would be okay with, and he would be totally stoked on.
Okay. Yeah, and this is about you, your journey in music, and of course we'll talk about the record and
Sweet.
the 3 new songs and the covers and all that cool stuff.
Excuse my my unawareness. Is this an interview or a podcast? I'm just like, trying to figure out how long it's going to take. Because I just woke up and I would love to make coffee.
Let me see. I mean, I usually
if it takes an hour or two, like it's fine. I just want to.
It usually goes about between 30 and an hour. You can make coffee, dude. It's up to you.
No, I'm a snob. It's gonna be like a 20-minute ordeal.
Okay, I just have another interview in an hour and a half. So.
I've already made you reschedule. I'm not doing that to you.
It's all good, man. Well, again, I appreciate it. So first off, where are you right now? Are you in LA or
Baltimore, Maryland?
East Coast. Okay, Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah.
But were you born in? I just going off the research I've done and the band you're in prior was Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Are you from Pennsylvania at all?
No, weirdly enough, I did go to school in Pennsylvania for a year. I went to Franklin and Marshall, which is right in Lancaster, in 2008 only. But I was born and raised in Maryland. Grew up in Anne Arundel County, which is right on the water. I moved down to Birmingham in 2016, and that was for the band. I got an opportunity to try something different. I was like, "Fuck it."
Yeah,
I've never moved out, you know.
So grew up in Baltimore then. You're on the water there?
Well,
I'm not.
I went to school in Baltimore. I grew up like just out of the city. I live in the city now, which kind of it's a big change for me.
Is where you grew up a smaller town?
Yeah, it was it's a place called Savannah Park, which is regarded as like the snobby town.
Was it because you're on the water?
It's just like upper middle class families. And yeah, a lot of the stuff's on the water. Like most of my friends had like waterfront properties.
That's dope though. Dude, I grew up in San Diego, so I can't really talk.
That's cool though. I love San Diego.
Like I guess in the East Coast though, it's a bit different. Was there surfing and stuff where you grew up or not really?
Surfing?
Yeah. Like, I mean, if you're on the water, are you on the water of the Atlantic Ocean?
Yeah, but you're not getting swells though. Like
you're not.
You're getting like kiddie pool shit.
Okay.
If you go to North Carolina,
it's kind of weird how it kind of goes down. I mean, like, yeah, North Carolina has some,
you'll get
but
more.
South Carolina doesn't really have waves.
Anybody that lives in Maryland says they're a surfer, I just look at them with weird eyes.
What's funny is like I don't surf, but I was just curious because you have the beach there. But I have family in Cleveland, Ohio, and apparently there will be enough wind at some point where the lake will have waves, and there's people that will like surf in Lake Erie. I'm like,
what?
Yeah, that's pushing it. Like, yeah,
that's
like
kind of wild.
I know. I thought that was so crazy. But anyway, back to you. So, grew up in Baltimore. When did you get into music? How old were you?
Get into music? Oh, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, my parents spun records when I grew up, so there was always music in the house. I feel like I showed an interest in like singing and like theatrical things, a little bit of theater like elements when I was young. I recall at some point, I want to say like when I was like 10, maybe I was in middle school. I was involved in some sort of play that was like a one-time thing where I played like a spider. I don't remember. There's like one part of my memory I've always tried to like find out what the hell that was.
There's no video footage of it?
No. But yeah, I mean, I didn't get into like the touring stuff until my 20s, but I was always involved in music. Student athlete growing up. I didn't do like band or anything, but I played guitar in high school. I did gospel choir for my all boys Catholic high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always around it. It wasn't until like 23 or it's about 21 when I started to like do kind of what I do now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So like you were just playing guitar as a hobby? I mean, but if you're singing and playing guitar, I mean, that must have been.
No. I never could. I rage quit guitar when I was like 20 or 21, and
Oh,
then
okay.
yeah, I got to the point where I was like doing a bunch of like fun metalcore riffs, and I tried to learn like sweeps, arpeggios, and solos, and I was like, I can't do this. Fuck this shit.
Okay.
Sold everything.
Oh, wow.
And then my come up was actually YouTube covers. I did YouTube covers for a long time. I like learned to scream in my car and like watching a couple of YouTube videos, and I just like stuck with it. And long story short, I did like hundreds of YouTube covers.
All just
And
vocal covers?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Just a
So,
cappella? Or were you,
no,
oh, okay.
it was legit. It was like camera set up like this
Wow.
with studio mic, tracked in Reaper, which is a DAW, and then edited like kind of the best you can to have it sit over top of somebody else already singing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're through the process, you're learning how to like edit videos, mix music,
Mm-hmm.
how to make a vocal chain when you record. I see that you got the DX 266 compressor. That's fantastic compressor.
Oh, yeah. It's the, well, I went with the 286S
Oh, the
because I used to have
Yeah.
a cardio
Standards.
mic, and
Yeah.
it has a gate, and then I just ended up not, I got this mic instead because it was less of a hassle.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So yeah, like teach, like I didn't know any of this shit. Like I had to learn, and I'm like a
uh-huh.
YouTube lurker, so I'm like hacking in the mainframe, learning all this shit at once.
Yeah.
Like how do I improve my quality?
But
So
at
like
least you're interested instead of just
yeah,
like, I'm gonna wing it. I'm gonna buy this cheap USB mic off of, Best Buy and go with it that
dude,
way.
I recorded my first YouTube covers. I recorded with $100 Toshiba pocket camera, like a rugged one. It was I know the model. It was like BW10.
Okay.
And it was like I got it like our equivalent of Costco, which is called BJ's Wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I started like I had I did it in my closet to not disturb people, and then just kind of upgraded and snowballed from there. And yeah,
Is
I
that how
don't
you
know.
kind of got into gear? Was just from starting with those YouTube covers?
I mean, I was always technically inclined. Like I'm a big computer guy. That's why I got
Okay.
into cameras, and cameras are
Okay.
really easy to get into because there's so much stuff for it. You can
Oh,
really
it's crazy.
dive in deep.
Hmm.
And microphones have lots of cool things you can play with too.
Yeah, I only know about this. I did radio for 15 years, so
Oh,
like
nice.
I was like, okay, I'm like going through like what do we use here? Okay, that's nice. And I would like we used to use RE20s. Like
Oh,
one
yeah,
station I
classic.
used, yeah, had this, but the RE20 was like the one.
I
And
don't
then
like how long it is though. It's
no,
huge.
it's like yeah, it's like this long. It's all phallic and like it just doesn't, and it doesn't even sound as good as the Shure. I think Shure just knocked him out of the park when they did this one. But yeah, so that was kind of my whole thing. But I'm like, this looks better, sounds
Sweet.
better. Anyway, back to you. So you got into gear, doing the YouTube covers, and then at 20, you said
Wait,
you didn't get into touring.
wait. See, if you said you're in radio, when I was
Uh-huh.
when I was at Franklin and Marshall on Thursdays, I did a 1 o'clock lunchtime '90s dance block for the campus radio,
You did. That's rad.
and I had my friends texting me, and I was getting texts on my flip phone,
There you go.
and they were like, play Hadaway. What is love? It's like lunchtime, and my friends are in the cafeteria hearing me. I was like 17 or 18 at the time.
So you're doing like breaks and so you'd come in and be like, all right, hey,
I don't know how I got involved with the campus radio. I think just being a music guy, I was like, what can I do at my school that's not school and sports? I got into the like the sports casting, like the video broadcasting team. I
Mhm.
worked with the basketball and wrestling a little bit. And then somehow I got involved in doing the radio, and I had that one block every Thursday.
That's
That was so
awesome.
much fun. I miss doing that.
See, I went that route because I'm not musically inclined. Like I could play guitar poorly, and that was about it. Like I would learn power chords and songs, and I'm like, I want to be in this industry, but I have no idea. Like, oh,
Yeah.
here we go. I didn't know how to push play, and I could play records and talk about them.
Dude,
So that was my back.
there's a lot of space for really nice people and personalities that love music to be involved with music, because it's definitely
Mhm.
saturated with a bunch of like weirdos who like don't get music, or like I don't know. They have like a good presentation, but like they don't really have the personality to do this. But like, I mean, 10 minutes in, I've already like, I like you, and I
Oh,
would,
thank you.
you know, like you've already made a good impression. It's like, oh, this guy's cool. But there's not a lot like you out there. Like 10 minutes in, like, what happened to this guy in his youth? He's this fucking weird.
Well, dude, that means a lot. I appreciate
But
that.
you know, but we're
Not
nice.
freaking
We're nice
people out.
regardless. Everybody's trying.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's awesome that you did the radio show. I always had fun, and it's funny because like when I got into radio, it was the peak of an era where there was a lot of money and it was like a big deal, and then like I kind of caught the decline of the whole thing, and then when I got out of it was when COVID started, and it was basically like that was the time for they could kind of capitalize. I felt like as
Right.
in a local level, but it just I don't know. It's not there anymore, in my opinion. I mean, the numbers show on TikTok and Spotify. So
Media is changing big and fast.
oh yeah, for sure.
Media consumption too.
Mhm.
I keep talking about with my friends how I'd love to read the case study on us about how media consumption has changed and how it's affected us, and like, you know, fast digestive media like click farming and clip baiting and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's
All that shit.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the guy that
The
wrote
psychology behind it and too everything, you know.
yeah, because it evolves. I listened to a podcast the other day, and it was the guy that used to be, I think he was the CEO or CFO of Google for a while,
Mhm.
and he was talking about how like social media will come in 10-year phases. So
Yeah, I see that.
it's interesting how like it'll be 10 years, and then you'll have the bulk of the people that are really successful, and then the kids coming up can't quite achieve that because it's just too far out there. Like their content is being
Right.
hidden, and then they'll start creating their own platform to get boom up there, and then like it just kind of evolves as that goes. So it's interesting that like TikTok is now obviously the biggest one, but it started off as musically. My younger son was doing, or my son, not my younger one, but my older one was doing the musically thing, and I'm like, what is this?
I
And
remember
then
him musically.
and then it became TikTok, and now it's like the biggest thing ever. So people are like verified on TikTok that he knows because of musically, you know, 5, 6 years ago, which just blows my mind.
I remember when I used to like have friends on MySpace, and I would get messages like the first year or two into Facebook, be like, "Are you that guy from MySpace?" Like, I mean, I wasn't like famous on MySpace or anything, but it was like my friends from MySpace, like,
Yeah, knew
they
you,
they
right.
adapt, yeah.
I remember when that transition happened too. It was like, oh, everyone's on Facebook. I'm like, I don't really want to leave MySpace. Like, this is such a cool. I've got to build a whole fan. Like, I got not a fan, but I got to find all my friends on here now. Are they on here yet? And it's
Yep.
just funny how it all kind of evolves. But that's interesting. But real quick, I'm curious. So you did the radio thing, but were you going to college for? It doesn't sound like you're going for music at all.
I went to Franklin and Marshall pre-med. I
Wow.
was interested in medicine. That whole story is a long story why I left that school.
Okay.
I don't really want to talk about it.
Okay. Well, we can pass over it. But so you left the school.
Dark times.
Okay.
No, just like there was a huge growth period from 17 to 21 in my life, and
Okay.
it involved wasting tuition money of my parents. But Franklin Marshall, I came home. I did a couple years at a community college. I switched to comp sci because I realized the only reason I was first in pre-med because I wanted to make money. I
Oh, there you go.
I didn't have the discipline for med school. I had the smarts, I feel like, but I only got through a year, so who fucking knows? um, so yeah, I think during that time I was just like, I was a swimmer for a long time, and I swam at Franklin and Marshall. And I think once I
was
lost
in
that,
swim too. That's funny.
really, I was a butterflyer.
Really? I did. I played water polo and swam through high school.
Dude, I dislocated my shoulder playing water polo after the season, and I had to pop it back in place by slamming my shoulder into the wall.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That sounds
dude.
brutal, man. That
It
sounds
was
brutal.
I got surgery for it. Fucking
Ouch.
sucked.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
only did freestyle. And then I tried to do they would sometimes throw me in like breaststroke, but I wasn't very fast. So
Breaststroke's
it was
hard.
I was just like the guy. They're like, yeah, you can just whatever. Here you go. But yeah,
Great sport.
freestyle is better. But I couldn't do, I mean, butterfly, I could go 50 yards and be
I was a
out of
sprinter.
that.
I didn't want to be in there for past a minute and a half, anyways.
Okay, so you did swimming.
Yeah.
That's what you did in college too. That's cool.
Yeah, I went originally for swimming, and they didn't give they gave like augmented academic scholarships because they didn't have the money for school or for sports. It's like one of those.
Okay.
I don't know how it worked. I was 17. Yeah, and I came home. I lost swimming, and I didn't want to come home. I was kind of forced to come home, and I was just trying to like rebrand myself. So I fell into music, and I think like one day I was in the car participating to the song I was listening to at the time, and it had screaming. So I was like, I want to like learn how to do this, and it just kind of snowballed into a whole thing and a hobby, and I like kind of dove in. And the rest is kind of history.
Did you like? Were you in a band after the YouTube thing started, or how did you end up?
I joined a
getting
local
involved?
band like two years in. We did a couple shows, and I got a call from Chris Davis in Texas in July, who I knew at the time, and I tried out for that band. Joined Texas in July, so like my 7th show ever was my first show on Warped Tour in 2013.
Wow.
I was thrown to the wolves real fast.
What was that like? Was that terrifying?
Terrifying. Because at that point I had like plenty of screaming training. Not a lot of like touring screaming training, but it actually ended up being okay anyways. It worked itself out. But like learning how to be a front man, and I wish somebody would have told me never to wear jorts on stage.
Lesson learned.
Did that a lot. No, I didn't learn. I just kept doing it. I'm just, like looking back at old photos, and I was like, who let me do this?
Well, you must have. Well, how did you know the guys from Texas in July? Like, how
I
did that
didn't.
relationship?
I just
They
knew
just-
I just knew Chris. He's from Maryland. He was from the same area I was. They were
Okay.
from Lancaster. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's
where
what I was curious.
that's where it gets weird.
Okay.
I went to school in Lancaster, which is an hour north of where I live now. It's about like 2 hours from where I grew up. And then I left Lancaster, and then 5 years later, I was back there trying out for a band from there. And then that band broke up in 2015. And then I'm back there 2 more times for Erra in different circumstances, recording in a studio there. So it's like I can never leave Lancaster. I don't know what it is. And I love that city, and I'll be back there soon, actually.
Wow. So, well, when you get the call to join, or you get the call to try out for Texas in July, and you go to the audition, that must have been what was that like? I mean, just showing up and being okay, now I got to sing all the backlog songs that somebody else was singing prior, or
Yeah, well,
what does
yeah.
that look like?
It was weird because I was 23. I was the oldest person there too. I've always been the older person in my bands, not by much, but like it's just funny because both bands I've joined, most of them were like lifetime, like the whole live touring musicians mostly. Where I joined very late, and in the end, I'm actually kind of grateful for that. But I remember getting there. We practice at the Champ in Lemoyne, PA, which is like a hole in the wall like venue bar, and seeing all them in person was so weird because it's like speed dating for friendship too.
Yeah.
So like, because you assume that you're gonna be stuck with them for a while, and hopefully they're fun and cool. You're not just playing music with them; you're like forming relationships. So yeah, like all that happened really fast. But they're all ended up being like very normal and fun dudes, and they're all great friends of mine still now. So yeah, you just kind of like make it work.
Well, you've had to kind of fill the role of the singer in Erra also now. So
Yeah,
it's like 2 times. Like, was it? I mean, the first time you do it, obviously you guys are you're on Warped Tour, so the band had some success. They're doing things. They're touring. Is that hard to jump into that position where these people or these fans, maybe you're seeing for the first time, they've known the band for a while, and like, do you get any weird vibe that way? Like, I don't know how that would work.
Well, I don't know. I didn't really have a choice.
Right. Yeah, I know. You
I didn't have
just have
another
to
option.
adapt, right?
Yeah, at the beginning, there was. I mean, even for both bands, there was definitely more for Erra. It was a lot of like, we miss the old guy.
Oh, I'm sure that's
And-
hard to hear.
Well, yeah, of course, but like at the same time, what the fuck am I gonna do about it? He's not coming back.
Yeah,
It's not gonna be like, just kidding. This literally never. That's happened 0 times.
Just kidding.
Yeah, so it's like deal with it. I'll do my best to like not shit on what you loved about the old singer, but like we have to move on. And that's just how it went. Yeah, but as far as like covering other people's songs, I've never really. I've always liked covers in general, which is ironic because we just put out one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always liked covers, so I've always found a way to hear anything and like, I make it relevant for me somehow. And then if I'm singing it, you can always put your own inflection and spin on something. Yeah, you just got to do what you got to do. Got to make it your own.
With so did Texas in July just disband, or you just kind of
We
ran
did 2 years. It ran its course, really.
Okay. And then when that band ended, how did you get involved with Erra?
We took Erra out in 2014. It was Texas in July, Erra, maybe Structures, Erra. It's Texas in July, Structures, Erra. I have to look at the flyer. Micah Relocate, and a band called Elitist. So they did like a couple days, and that was Garrison's last tour. Their previous singer. Original singer, there was like a longtime singer, Garrison, and then Ian was in the middle for an EP, and then I joined. But I met Garrison in 2014, so I knew all those Erra guys then. And then at the end of 2015, when the band's about to be done for good, I get a call from Jesse, and literally in the same format. They're about to go to the studio, and he already, toured with me. He knew I had the skill set. He knew I had touring experience, and it was basically like, hey, if you want in, you're in, but you have to come immediately to the studio.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was in October, and then the farewell tour for Texas in July was like a month later. So there was literally no transition. It was immediately to the next band.
That's crazy.
Like the farewell tour ended like December 2015, and in February I was touring. I think the beginning of February I was touring with Erra, so like there was no downtime.
Oh my gosh.
I got lucky for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say not a lot of people would have that experience where if the band ends, it's like, okay, now what do I do? I got to go figure this out for a year or so, or start a new band. Yeah, well, that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Well, when you get this call to come, we got a record, we're in the studio. That ends up being what, Drift?
Yeah, Drift.
Okay.
I recorded like October 2015 in Michigan.
Did you help write that record at all? Like, were you writing the lyrics, or was it all kind of done and you just jumped in?
Well, kind of. The record was fully tracked instrumentally. It was 10 songs. 6 of the songs had lyrics written for both vocalists, me and Jesse, and then 4 didn't have anything for me. I think Jesse had stuff for him. So I came in and he actually let me write, and I ended up writing 4 of those songs.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised they let me do that.
Well, you had some cred with the other band.
True,
obviously.
but like that's now knowing that Jesse was the primary songwriter, I'm surprised he let an outsider immediately have creative control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm grateful.
In you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it different writing with them as opposed to writing with the other band?
Yes, only because it's still metalcore. It was very easy for me to transition. What was nice was that now I had Jesse to kind of like split the work with, split the difference with. And then
because you were writing all the lyrics and the melodies for
TIJ, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So having that and he's like the goat in the studio with me. So I especially now. So like we work so well together. But back then, we're kind of just figuring it out. And I'm still like new to writing too. That was only the second time I'd ever written like professional level metal. Like I've made songs in the past, like when I was doing my covers, but they were nothing like at the level of these songs.
Sure. Well, they had at that point Erra was doing really well, right? Didn't they have like a #1 record, like a Billboard record or a song or something? Or did that come out?
Sure. I don't remember.
But it's like you come in and you follow it up. That must have been a hard, like,
Well, following up Garrison was the real tough part. Garrison was a beast, and he had a very huge range, like a very deathcore oriented vocalist because he had a great lower end and great high end. And I come in with a lot of like mid range influence, like a lot of like Jonathan Vigil from the Ghost Inside influence, and I loved bands like Hundredth and Counterparts and Bury Your Dead and like any vocalist that had like a mid-range or like a really loud sounding voice, that's what I sounded like, and that's what I was training like. So going from Garrison, who had a very different tonality, to me was like a kind of a shock for the band sound and their fan base. So it took them a second to get used to me, I think, but I don't know, I think it worked itself out. I also think the music changed enough where it catered more toward my style than Garrison's, so I'm a little biased, I guess, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, after you joined the band and you played with them for a while, and then Neon's the first record that you got to sit and write the whole album with.
Yeah.
With the band. What was that? What was that like?
Awful. That was a terrible writing process. Me and Jesse talk about that all the time. We were both at each other's throats.
Oh man.
The recording environment wasn't ideal. We like the record got passed around to 3 different people. Like it was dark times.
You still had another number 1 record though on the Heat Seekers chart. So
I wish Jesse was here to hear me just say that because he'd probably chime in. But yeah, that was a nice growth period between him and I too, because like we butt heads like that whole time, and like there was a moment where this is so funny actually. It was a time where I was trying to write stuff and like create, and I like hated everything I was liking, and Jesse didn't like it, and he didn't really know how to like say it without like crushing my soul, and it just didn't go well. And then I remember he could tell he could tell that he was crushing my soul, so he went out to this bakery nearby and he brought me back a donut. He's like, I got you something.
Here you go, man. I'm sorry.
Because he knew, and he knows like food is always the way to my heart. So
that's amazing.
He's learned well. Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering too, because at this point, you guys have known each other for a couple of years. You've been touring a bit, and like there might be a little bit more familiarity. Like you feel a little bit more comfortable with each other to where you can almost like say what you really, really mean. Like I don't know if you felt like that. Like, okay, now I'm going to be brutally honest because we know each other well now. One of those situations where when you first meet somebody, you probably aren't going to just start being like criticizing them like right out the gate or voicing a loud opinion. But I guess he let you write on that record, so that's pretty amazing.
Well, if you're Jesse Cash, there is no filter. What he's thinking, it's coming
He'll
out.
just say it.
Yeah, it's like definitely a Jesseism.
Okay.
But we appreciate the honesty in people like that always. We'd rather he's actually really good at, if there's like inter band beef, instead of somebody like me, he will just sit on it until one of us murders each other.
That's me, man.
He squashes. Yeah, I just don't want to. I don't like confrontation, so I don't want to talk about it. I'll be the one to suffer at your expense. Like even if it's your fault, I'll just like make it my fault somehow, so I don't have to deal with it.
Right. Just to let it pass.
Yeah. But with him, it's like hell no. Like we're airing. Like if there's like an inkling, he's like, we're airing this shit out now. And
that's
he
a good
actually
thing though, right? I mean,
he taught me that, and then I did that to him when him and I had a problem recently. And we aired it out like in 24 hours, and we hugged it out, and it was perfect.
That's awesome. Then you move forward, right? Instead of sitting on it for months or whatever it has to be.
I hope most bands can do that, because if they're not, God, I don't know how they do this.
Right. I mean, you got to be with these people all the time.
All the time. I know everything about them.
Yeah. And you're living in a
bank accounts, passwords.
Right. Well, being on the road for so long and doing this for a long time, that must have been a shocker to have like 2020 hit. And then it's like, now what do we do? Like, where were you guys at?
Oh, we were miserable. I thought it was over. I was telling Jesse like a couple months ago, I was like, dude, I thought I was quitting Erra in like 2020. I thought I was like switching careers.
Go back.
I didn't know what was going to happen. No, I was probably going to go get some, I mean, maybe, but honestly, I would have probably gone and got some tech certs like comp sci stuff. Who
Were
knows?
you on
Maybe
the?
I probably will eventually one day.
Were you guys? Yeah. Were you guys on the road when COVID happened, or were you at home at this point?
You'll like this.
Okay.
The last day of the studio of the self-titled was the last day that studio was open.
Really?
Literally the next day was the global like everything's closed. It
Oh
was March. It was
wow.
like March 15th. No,
So you
no.
guys.
I think we left this going back home for like a week at work, and everybody's like, I think there's a virus. And then next weekend's like, the whole world's closed now.
Wow. So, but you finished the self-titled record? Did
Yeah.
you finish it that
We
that
finished
last
track like
day?
we didn't miss anything. We tracked everything. Editing
Okay.
got pushed back a bunch, but like everything got done on time.
Wow. And then
The
what? Yeah,
record was supposed to come out in
mixing and everything.
September.
Okay.
It got pushed back 6 months.
Well, yeah, because no one was doing anything, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you had a tour ready and everything
Yep.
else just kind of gets, yeah. Wow. So
Yep.
what do you guys do during that time? It's like, okay, we got this record. We don't know when we're going to be able to put it out. We don't know if we're going to or ever be able to play live. I mean, at this point, nobody knew what was going on. Everyone thought the world was going to be done for. Like how, like what, like at that moment, what do you guys do?
Well, we didn't have anything. It was just kind of like proceed as planned, kind of like wait from the word of management. And I was working in a bar in Birmingham, so I just kind of kept doing that as much as I could. I remember I was on unemployment for like a couple months.
But even a bar, nobody could go to a bar, right?
In Alabama, nobody gave
I
a
guess
shit.
right. I'm in Tennessee now. I moved from California about a year ago. I moved here. I'm like, wait, no one's doing, no one's wearing a
Yeah,
mask or anything.
it's different.
All
It's different down here.
right. Welcome to the South. Okay, so you were able to still bartend a bit.
Yeah. So actually, Alex and I worked for the same bar. Actually, the previous vocalist from Erra, Ian, was our manager at one point at that bar. He had been there for like 9 years. That's how I got the job.
Wow.
I remember I was like, look, I know you and I have some weirdness because I kind of took your job, but I would love to work at the bar you work at also. But we're here. We're cool. Ian's the man. I miss him.
That's funny.
A lot of good memories down there working with the boys. The metalcore bar.
That's the way I know. What a cool bar to go to.
We played metal and had like it's actually I'll totally give them a shout out. It's Black Market on 280 Highway 280 in Birmingham. It's an awesome place.
It's still there, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, it's never going away.
Well, I want to take a trip down to Alabama anyway. I might have to stop there.
Yeah, if you that's like right like it's got the Alabama is basically like a square separated by those two main highways and then two at the top. One going toward Atlanta and then 83 or not 83, 65 going all the way up to Tennessee.
Yeah, 65 goes through where I live.
And then 280 goes the opposite direction and then one goes toward Florida. It's on the 280 side.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Cool,
That is
cool spot.
Yeah. So you were doing that, and then
Doing that.
you have the record, and just kind of trying to wait it out. Like
Literally
obviously you had to
nothing.
push the record.
I did nothing during that time. I played video games and I thought about my life.
Okay.
A little bit of music stuff. Yeah, I really have no idea what I did in the beginning of quarantine, other than
Okay.
wait it out. I don't think
And then-
much happened.
And then, well, you guys ended up putting the record out in March.
Mm-hmm.
So a year goes by, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, let's put the record out. And were you able to play? I know you have a tour coming up, but have you guys had any chance to do that in the past year or so?
Yeah, we did a tour with we did one tour. We just did a tour with August Burns Red. It was
Oh, okay.
why am I blanking on this tour? August Burns Red. Oh my God, who did I just go on the road with? You gotta be kidding me. Sorry, I'm still on the early morning brain.
All good, man. It's all good.
Making me do my own research. Shit. Where is this flyer? Oh yeah, Fit for a King.
Okay.
It was like Moss of Flames era, Fit for a King, August Burns Red. It was
I'm looking at the flyer now. All I had to do was click
September
on it.
9th
All I had
to
to do was-
Halloween.
Yeah, like
Okay,
Moss to Flames, and
and then in
I
the
could have just
middle,
clicked on the
yeah, you're fine.
clicked on the
I
Instagram.
forgot.
I thought you did the tour. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And
It
you did
went
San Diego
mostly
because I remember
fine.
seeing Selma. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, that was okay. That was added. So in the middle of the tour, we had to postpone 10 days, and those shows got moved intact to December. And then actually, San Diego wasn't even on the tour. San Diego got added. That was the last show. That was a sick show, actually.
It's a cool spot. I mean, that's where all the metal bands, their hardcore bands play, is at Soma for the most part.
Tim Lambisa showed up that day, actually.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's from there.
Yeah, I know him. I don't
knows
know him,
the
but I
ADR
know
guys well.
Yeah, I know the story there. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with the guys from what band? They're on Solid State. I just interviewed them. Wolf.
Oh, Wolves of the Gate.
Wolves of the Gate. Yep. And about him. But yeah, anyway. So that's rad. So you did that tour, got back December.
It went well, other than the postponing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so then you guys start putting out, well, you have 3 new songs on this coming, like re-release, right? Or it's like a re-release of the record, and then you did some covers. When did that, like, when did you guys, when did you guys record that, and how did you decide on the covers that you did?
So first year quarantine goes through, like so we're going to backtrack to like March 2020.
Okay.
We are originally planning that release for September 2020. Then it got pushed to March 2021. And then
the record itself.
The record. And then weirdly enough, self-titled is March 2022. So once we got to the end of 2020, we're like, we still have nothing going on and we have all this free time. Let's just go back to the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went back with Atrium Audio, Grant and Carson, in January of 2021. So these are pretty recent.
Okay.
And we just had all this free time. We're like, we don't know what else to do with it. So we sat on those for a while, and then we're like, we'll just do a deluxe. We've always wanted to do a deluxe. And he's like, I want to do covers. So I was like, I wanted to do covers.
And then you had 3 new ones too, right? Okay. And were those new ones written within that time period, or were they
all
written
6
prior?
Were. Yeah,
okay.
All 6 were done at once.
Interesting. And then how'd you decide on the covers?
We've always been a band that loves 90s rock. We love, we play all types of non-metal when we're traveling. We're pretty eclectic, like musical taste collectively. But Jesse being the primary songwriter, I also know his music taste. So when like the cover like list of selection came up, I definitely pushed for the songs that I knew I would be okay with and he would be totally stoked on.
Okay.
So it was pretty easy and unanimous because there wasn't a lot of back and forth. I was like, I'm gonna go with the song that I can definitely be happy with, but I'll know there won't be any discussion for.
Okay.
Because if I had control, it would be like Seven Dust and Disturbed covers.
Okay, so you went more his route with Audio Slave and Muse, and I think you did a 9 Inch Nails to cover on there.
I think it definitely fits our MO though.
Yeah, I mean, I love the one I've heard the Muse cover. I just listened to that one a few minutes ago, the Stockholm Syndrome. What a rad cover!
Thank you.
Yeah, and what a song to try to take on. I mean, his vocal is insane, and to be able to put your own spin on that song, I think you guys did a killer job on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy how they came out. Like I said, I love covers, and I've always liked to, I don't mind doing other people's music, honestly.
Okay.
Clearly. Clearly.
Sure. Well, I'm curious to hear the other ones because I think that one's the only one you put out, right?
I'm really proud of the Audio Slave cover. I sing There's No Screaming on that song.
Interesting.
And I do half and half with him.
Okay.
So it's like kind of a big debut because I sing the chorus of that song.
Wow. Yeah. And Chris Cornell to take on something like that. I mean, we
almost didn't do it. It was like the last thing we did. We were like, are we really about to try to cover a Chris Cornell song? And he's dead.
Right.
So it's like, we really can't fuck this up. Like, that's a god. I hope people are happy with that. We were happy enough with it that we were like, this is good. We're we don't feel like we're gonna get shit on for this, so
Okay. And then
we'll leave it.
because you put out Vanish Canvas and the Muse one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so
Night of Silence as well.
Okay. And then you have the Nine Inch Nails cover as well coming out, Hershey.
Heresy, yeah.
Oh, Heresy. I can't spell or read.
Hershey? You say Hershey?
Yeah.
Hershey Park, yeah, baby. PA.
Well, it's funny because I just interviewed somebody that's lived in Hershey Park.
Really?
Legit. Yeah. Grew up there. And he said he could throw a stone into the park.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know that guy that created Reese's is also from Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Dude, it smells amazing there.
Does it really? Does it smell like chocolate?
Yeah, it smells amazing. Amazing. It's the best smell.
That's amazing. Well, dude, thank you so much for doing this interview. I know you have another big tour coming up, also at Devil Wears Prada. That'll be awesome. That kicks off next month.
Beartooth, Silverstein.
That'll be good.
Yeah, we've done a lot of support slots, but like it's given us awesome opportunity to, especially on like a Beartooth tour. Like that's not very like we'll probably be the heavier band on that tour, so it'll be nice to get our music in front of like their audiences and in those rooms. So we're definitely due for a headliner, and it's coming, but. As you know, it's been tough to schedule anything these days.
Yeah.
Especially when it's an interview with me.
Well, I appreciate you being here today. I'll let you get to your coffee, but I have one more quick question for you. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Okay, this is my favorite one. Use the resources you have available, especially if they're free. I got my start by pushing all my content through social media, YouTube, and Facebook, Twitter. Like if you're a creator and you feel like, or like you're a band guy and you're like, oh, I can't play with people in my town, or like I'm not happy with my local environment. You got to think on bigger audiences. So you got to get your shit out there the best means you can. So use the resources you have. The algorithm for these things is really good, especially TikTok. There's ways to like learn all this stuff for free. There's tutorials. If you can't figure it out, again, it's still on the same platform and it's free. So use the stuff you have available first. Then you can think about like putting money into it.